Hey fam, it's that time again for your centered reading this week. And this week we've been in Luke chapters 19 through 23. Have you ever been reading scripture and something pop off the page that you never noticed before? Like you're reading a chapter you've read over and over again, but all of a sudden you notice something that happened that you never had really picked up on before. It's my absolute favorite when it happens. Maybe you thought when that was occurring, oh, I must not have read this chapter very good before. But the reality is that's what the Bible is supposed to do. The Bible is a living word. And in order for something to be living, it has to be active. So we should approach scripture expecting this to happen, not surprised when it does. The Bible is the greatest book ever written because of this fact that we can find new truths we never saw before. Okay, so here's what I noticed. I'm in chapter 22 and Jesus is preparing to go to the cross. We've had the Last Supper and he's giving his last bits of wisdom to the disciples before he's arrested. They're heading out to the Garden of Gethsemane and Jesus asked the disciples, hey, do you remember that time I sent you out to do ministry and told you not to pack anything? They're like, yeah. He's referencing the story in Luke chapter 9. Jesus sends the disciples out to go and heal the sick, do what he's doing, to go do ministry. And he tells them, don't pack any bags. Don't take anything with you except what's already on your back. He's teaching them that when they go, they should be welcome to the generosity of the people they're going to encounter. And while they're out there, this happens. They're met with people who provide them places to stay and give them food to eat. They take care of the needs they have. The disciples come back from this experience, they have experienced something incredible. Not only were they able to do miracles on behalf of God, they were met with divine hospitality. People welcomed them and they experienced great favor and it was good. Now, back to chapter 22. Jesus references this story and then he tells them that now they're gonna need the knapsack. He goes on to say, for those that don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. I thought this was weird. The conversation keeps going and I was very intrigued. The disciples say to Jesus, oh look, we have 2 swords right here. And Jesus' response is, it's enough. Now, this isn't enough like, yeah guys, that's awesome. It's enough swords. We can fight this fight. It was rather, it's enough. Like, we're moving on from this conversation because you're missing the point. Disciples are really good at that sometimes. And in fact, they move forward and one of the disciples does totally miss the point. The crowd comes and Jesus is about to get arrested and the disciples reference the swords they have, right? Should we get them? Jesus, should we get them? Before Jesus can even respond, Peter has pulled a sword out and cut off the guy's ear. He was trying to start a fight to protect Jesus, and that's not what Jesus was trying to get them to do. In fact, he stops Peter. He corrects him in this moment. Now that was where I started to feel a little confused. Why would Jesus tell them to buy swords and then yell at Peter for using it just a few scriptures later? It didn't make any sense. And anytime things like that stick out, man, now it's time to really dig in and figure out what is it that Jesus was trying to teach in this moment. Jesus wasn't telling them to go buy literal swords to fight the crowds that were coming. See, he wanted to get arrested. He needed to fulfill the promises of God. Rather, he was warning the disciples, trying to prepare them for what was about to come. See, their last journey towards ministry, the last time they left Jesus to go do what he had called them to, they were met with hospitality. This time, this next season they were walking into, their ministry was going to be met with hostility. So, what does this mean for us now, today? See, I was reminded that my walk with Jesus comes with both hospitality and hostility. It comes with seasons of favor and goodness and excitement, and it comes with times I'm going to be met with trial and tribulation and even disagreement. Our walk with him brings both. Now, this isn't permission for me to walk around with a hostile heart, right? My attitude can't be that I'm constantly looking for the fight. That's not at all what Jesus was trying to do. Rather, he's trying to help us to not be surprised when things get hard and to not take for granted when we have favor. You see, sometimes we're going to have people around us who love to hear what God is doing in our lives. And sometimes we're going to have literal people around us who don't agree with anything we stand for. Sometimes I'm going to have incredible blessing in my life. Things are just going to feel like they're going smoothly and easily. That's the favor of God. And sometimes I'm going to have to walk through incredible storms. See, I can't get comfortable with the hospitable seasons, so much so that I'm not prepared for the hostile ones. And I can't be so jaded by the times that things are hard that I can't love people the way that Christ called me to love them. Now, I'm still pondering this truth, trying to dig into scripture to find what all does Jesus want to teach me as he made it pop out. Hopefully, God is bringing truths to your life and highlighting new portions of scripture for you that you're thinking about. I'd love to hear about it. In the comments below, tell us about something that God's really pointing out to you to scripture lately, things that you're trying to learn. Thanks so much for being faithful to Read Your Synod Reading. If you're a little bit behind, that's okay. Pick up scripture and read with us next week. We are so excited for what God's doing through scripture as we read it as a congregation. Hope you have a great weekend.